Hey everyone, down here from the Tabo concept on for this day because we're today welcome back to Comic Studio here in our inside in Cookie Run Comic Studio. So before we're gonna begin of this video, we're not gonna be taking for a little bit for such as pretty bad news as well because my computer was running for low frames per second because I just probably never believe that I just before I scroll down a little bit and I never be mentioned that we have a lot of cookies and probably many more sprites inside from their characters from many more of those things. So in the last video we just already completely adding for some backgrounds and other kinds of random stuff for about supercars are taking over Earthbed or many more other kinds of stuff around here that I just made this video about for Grand Theft Auto loading screen video for many more days and weeks and months. And where today we're gonna be added for some sort of a lot of characters for the school around here with custom backgrounds instead of some sort of background sprites for many more other kinds of what pretty able to do what is try to stands for. So it's time to head over to the backgrounds, and first thing we're gonna be spawn or added for something a little bit for pretty first time. So first off, it's time to give ourselves to start to get ourselves a hurry. And then what I just expected that we're gonna be trying to do, what I just completely actually spawn from their buses all the way to go for school as well. So as you can see, these buses are going to be trying to make their way to school because make sure this isn't going to be going for a little bit as front thing as well. And then we're absolutely made it on our way to the Canterlot High, and especially we're going to be added for some Equestrian Girls reference. We absolutely pretty know why that we're going to be entering this for one time. This is a school when I just eventually looked up when back in 2017 that my sister did a while time ago for just a long time. It wasn't probably such as a long time ago. It was actually almost 10 years that I just pretty never be able to be song like this. So we got actually for the Pony City, we're actually gonna be trying to do this. I never such as try to do what anything that I just possibly want, because I never be able to be adding for some sort of probably for Ponyville. I think the Cookie Run characters are gonna be taking over Ponyville sooner as well, because I'm pretty sure that isn't gonna be always try to do like this one. So next one is gonna be for Crystal Prep that I just completely nearly that I just my instructions says that I just completely going to give ourselves a little bit right. And now we have Wonderbolts for right over here for some sort of a team banner. And then we have for some like these things, and that must be the last clip from right over here. So not for just meanwhile in the Crystal Prep for many things whatsoever. This is absolutely for our main terminal for this one. So it's time to add for such as Cookie Run characters such as Hero Cookie, and the first thing that we just completely able to spawn, be spawn over here, and just like in the middle of the bus, starting with Hero Cookie for just right over here. And next up, it was Cheerleader Cookie. It is gonna be for right here onto the besides of the bus. So she'll be right over here, and then we're actually spawning Languity Chat and Banquet. It must be gonna be right over here because before I might gonna be confused what I'm saying. So first off, let's put on her. She wasn't the vice principal for what actually we actually tried to say. She wasn't a vice principal anyways, but let's just add it a little bit less more, including such as teenagers from their schools whenever we try to do this. So what I just actually pretty do, we have him from right over here, and the next one wasn't kind of for just like a cake pops or whatever we try to do for just a little bit spawn, because I'm started a little bit confused, and I'm not recently added for the bell pepper cookie around of those buses when he was just trying to get onto the school, because eventually there must be for restricted rules, because perhaps bringing music was probably allowed on school, or we just might able to be just to keep them, and other kinds of those legal things weren't allowed in school. But anyways, we just absolutely have for some NPCs, and we have for some many more kinds of people for just bringing microphones as well, or probably be able to be try to guess. And I just recently just actually spawned from over here, and I cannot believe that isn't gonna be a waiting to do this, because he wasn't like just actually pretty young. So not right over here. So he really is right over here behind the cheerleader. So it wasn't gonna be pretty a little bit left. So I'm probably should be able to stay a little bit perfect as well. So we have such as many more of those things. We have the bus driver, and I cannot believe that shouldn't be able to be pretend from so long, as well as that shouldn't able to be stand from. And I cannot believe that isn't gonna be making for any more of those sprites and many more of those things. We just eventually forgot Apple Cookie, and she will just flowing over here for just right on segment. So I suggest she'll be right over here. That she went to fall off. That she was jumping around in the sky because of whoever that I never felt that before she left Dreamy Cookie Land, whatever she will be tried to get on to school as well. So the next thing, we're gonna be added motor coaches around itself according to sprites. There aren't bus drivers anywhere for many more of those other kinds of cookies. So let's try Cookie Run Kingdom, because many other kinds of those things weren't supposed to be in the school for many more reasons, for very and such as I really don't know why. For many more of those things, there are gem mermaids and muddy and kind of over here for just a little bit for many more of those kinds of like these things. Eclair was actually going to be probably here. It's over like there's many more of those other kinds of stuff, instead of bringing teas and foods allowed around here. So we just probably never to be able to be saw like this, because I actually never feels like it was probably such as an awkward thing, because just that I just completely recently saw about her, and that reason why that recently gonna be going a little bit over a while for just gonna be going all the way up here. So I slightly gonna be added a little bit for pretty. This one is over here. She has an umbrella, and the first thing, she was actually so small, and in the kingdom that she was actually pretty a little bit small whenever that she was taking on the trip all the way to school as a little bit as possible. So I cannot believe that she'll be right over here next right into the bus driver. Not of course. So I'm pretty sure that wasn't gonna be trying to find some NPCs already, and I cannot believe this isn't gonna be going for a little bit priceless over here for many more other kinds of people and a little bit more other kinds of stuff. if she definitely brings some kinds of music from over here, she'll be right over here on where right there that she's gonna be believed for over here. So she'll be staying for right over here, and I'm not sure. Now, we couldn't able to be recently added for more kinds of sprites or spawning some of the vehicles or whatever. We just tried to do this, but anyways, it's time to add some motor coaches instead of cream puff, whatever we try to do, what I just actually say over here. So let's go for the custom sprites and see for some sort of motor coaches we actually spawn for those 3 modern MCI J4500s. So looks like that I just completely absolutely spawning for such as 2013 models and such as 3 from there on. So we have 3 motor coaches that are just actually gonna be shrinking a little bit for reduce the size from over here, and look how this looks from over here from those big buses of United States. It's completely right over here, but next, besides to other kinds of those things, not just a little bit in a while, it's gonna be pretty right over here and there, and then should be able to add for some sort of principal and a vice principal as well. So the next one should be I just able to spawn a little bit, I guess. Now we have an elder custard cookie, and she, or it's him, he is gonna be might be able to do this, whatever to do this, but probably that he was. It was actually the vice president or whatever it was. Vice principal. And what about the president of from this school? So not over here for just like it was. The bear jelly judge is actually the principal, a former principal from over here. And he's going to be right over here, especially for the wheels. So he was pretty big though. And returned to the kingdom that we just eventually tried to add dark choco. It will be taking for over 15 to 20 minutes whatsoever. That I just cannot believe it, that it just recently added him. And then we just completely added Lindsay, that she went from right everything as well. So unless that she already rides, I guess, because first off that then she was already transported by train, such as for some sort of that we just pretty saw on TV, and for some sorts of for Rose Scale Sandbox or Rails Unlimited, and now she was being traveled by buses, whatever what she thinks that should be traveled by motor coach or whatever it does. So we have already have for such as one consist, and that must be the Canterlot High. So first thing, we're gonna be spawning a latte cookie from over here, what we just actually pretty spawn, which is right over here. So she's gonna be right over here, and many more of those other kinds of these things. She's gonna be in the crystal prep for another she, and then should we not be able to respawn for some for the puzzle world, because that wasn't gonna be recently added for another thing as well. And then that I just completely logically added for most kind of these, and a lot of most likely kinds of cookies. But there were gingerbread men's and women's a lot taking over Equestria world for just over here for just a little bit of kinds of it front as well. So what about the bus drivers like itself? we didn't absolutely have to. So we have the bus driver from over here, and I realized this isn't gonna be going to do this as well. So it's most likely we just ever to do. So we have the bus driver, or such as a mechanic, and recently that wasn't gonna be completely having a lot of those times as well. Not sorts of other kinds of random stuff. I'll be spawning right over here. That wasn't gonna be probably to be such as well. Or one thing, he was just smiling at them. Whatever, that wasn't gonna be pretty to do this. Just we're gonna be keeping the mouth closed. Or right, that he was gonna be right over here. Or she was. And then right over here. This is Micmac, the creator of Cookie Run franchise. From those who just completely to do this since 2016 of the release. So since 2009 for the first game release. For whatever, that must be such as an oven break, because I despair that I just completely recently why I never be able to be spawning over here. So another one is the president of the Canterlot High. Canterlot High is really its name. Because I decently that we're never gonna be trying to do this. Whatever we try to do, would we never be able to be saw from. Because I never came around for many more other kinds of reasons. That must be pretty a lot. And those a lot of NPCs, it's gonna be pretty a lot to do this. Whatever we try to do. That must be an owl. Just like some sort of a Vanos gaming reference. Now moving further, that goes to a little bit for many more other kinds of people. There must be a lot of those and made pretty themselves to do this. A little bit a lot, and there must be other kinds of many more people. And beyond those lockers. And what about Cream Puff? I recently never be able to be forgotten as well. As they brought it food from the cafeteria. And that wasn't gonna be luxury things, or probably for some sort of clothes wasn't pretty allowed like this one, so that was pretty kind of ridiculous. And it's gonna be pretty a lot. And that one must be the part of for such as one. Sandwich cabbage. The cabbage sandwich cookie wasn't like this for such as the real name. She was the part of the cafeteria while working on to do this, whatever we probably saw. There's too many historic men's and women's around for just gingerbreads a lot. And looks like there must be kinds of a little bit itself for many more kinds of neelies and many more combat units whatsoever, including for such as scared people what actually to do, including for such as automobiles or pretty such automobiles for many more kinds of reasons. What we just speaking for, it was pretty a lot of intensely. And many more kinds of crazy things, whatever we probably just saw. Which is a little bit lipping for just one thing, whatever. We try never be able to say for around the loud. So we got, actually for some sort of, the eyes open was such a cringe thing that I just never be able to be seen like this one. There's a chef, and probably bringing noisy things wasn't pretty allowed in school. Whatever we tried to saw. And there must be a fairy tales from this thing that wasn't gonna be pretty such as existence, whatever we tried to do, say. And then we just pretty able to spawn clotted cream from right over here and right next into the violator of this one thing. Skateboard was pretty right over here. Wasn't like that pretty busy at all, because it wasn't like pretend for just a little bit playing. because he was just trespass overall into the top, because I need to think for such as many more things whatsoever.